Call me a day late, and more often than not, a couple dollars short, not just a dollar short. But we are here better late than never, I guess is what they also say. I'm TJ DeSantis. He's Ray Longo. It's extra rounds here from DraftKings Sportsbook on UFC Fight Pass. Ray, we're recapping UFC 302. I don't think I've ever done a post show this late in the week, as we're actually days removed from UFC 302. But I think it's made better by the fact that you're here.
Well, thank you, TJ. I appreciate that. But trust me, it's better for me because normally it's like 2:00 in the morning when we're talking. So
It's true.
This is definitely far better.
Yeah, it's actually, come to think of it, this is the time you actually normally wake up a few days later after I keep you up.
I'm actually awake for this podcast. This is crazy.
Well, let's talk about Islam Makhachev, able to get the win over Dustin Poirier. Let's start with the challenger who comes up short, unfortunately for him yet again. The Diamond, Dustin Poirier, obviously doesn't get his hand raised in this one, Ray. But to me, it was a legacy-defining fight in a way that may sort of not jump off the page at you. And John Anik said it earlier in the night on the pay-per-view. He was talking about the much-celebrated career of Dustin Poirier, who, again, had another opportunity to become the undisputed champion, didn't get it. But he said in the lead-up to the fight, this is a guy who has a legacy that is really Hall of Fame worthy, and he doesn't even really need that undisputed belt. And I don't want to say that there's a moral victory here in the sense that Dustin Poirier doesn't look like he's going to become an undisputed UFC champion in his run, but his career is still Hall of Fame worthy, and I think that's something to be celebrated. I understand it's the Hall of Fame and not the Hall of Pretty Good, but even without an undisputed title, Ray, Dustin Poirier was more than just pretty good. He was pretty great.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately for Dustin, look, he's fought the who's who, right? And he's got huge wins over people that could end up in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
So to me, he doesn't need to become a champion to get the Hall of Fame vote for sure. But probably for himself, that's always going to be a little bit of a empty spot in him because he is a competitor, and man, he's gotten so close. And even that fight going into the 5th round, I mean, he could have pulled that fight out. I know it was 3-1, but he could have gotten a knockout. You know what I mean? He looked like it was actually trending that way. I thought Islam looked a little off, but at the end of the day, man, he didn't get the job done again, and it kind of sucks because this is you could see he's a nice kid with good values. I mean, that might have been his problem. He might have been too nice. You know what I mean? Just too nice of a guy.
There might be something to be said about that, right?
No, 100%. You need a little of that nastiness, I think, sometimes. And man, he gave that guy all he could. And I was saying I think I was saying to Anik too, is that he hit the switch at least, right? Like
right.
With Khabib, he tried that 15 times, he didn't get nowhere. So you could see even evolved, or he made some improvements, and he was able to survive that 1st round, get back to his feet, and really make it a really tough fight for Islam. And
so I guess that's my question. We're kind of looking back at Poirier as potentially his final fight. Maybe he has 1 or 2 more fights left in him. Because don't get me wrong, I think you put Dustin Poirier in a BMF title situation or a super fight situation. It doesn't have to have the title on it. I'm not the biggest proponent for a BMF title. But my point is saying there are money fights for Poirier as long as he wants them. But my question, I guess, for you, Ray, is have we seen any telltale signs that the best Dustin Poirier is necessarily behind us? Because, I think we've seen him lose elite-level fights, but he's losing to elite-level guys that, on paper, are the favorites against him. They're guys that, if you're ever supposed to lose to somebody, Poirier really only seems to drop those types of fights.
Yeah, look, it's really up to him. The answer is no. He was very competitive in this fight. He beat a really tough Saint Denis the last fight.
Yeah.
No, he kind of said that if it's not for a belt, he doesn't want to fight. I guess he's financially off. Yeah, financially well off, and that's his decision to make. But no, I think 98% of the guys he could still beat.
Right.
It sucks because that 2% at the top, it seems like when they put a title on something just goes awry. Like even the head kick knockout, that wasn't, he beat Gaethje the first fight, right? Like, but
Yep.
again, you put that title on there, and but maybe something changes. I don't know if it's psychological or whatever, but he could go with the best of anybody right now. That's it. He might never win
Yeah.
that title, but there's that he could be some sort of weird gatekeeper. I don't. It'd be tough
Right.
getting by that guy. If
I
they
mean,
want to.
I would hate if all title shots had to go through Dustin Poirier, because there's going to be a lot of guys he turns away that are there. You know what I mean?
100%, man. No, there was no signs of, or there was no physical signs of anything. He might be breaking somewhere along the line in there, like I don't know, but he's still he could retire tomorrow and hold his head up high. He's fought the
Yeah.
best. Everybody and even when he lost, everybody knew they were in a fight. Whatever it is, what it is. I don't know. He's for a guy that I never really saw him as that guy like 10 years ago. Man, he had a fucking great career. He
Yeah.
had an outstanding career with huge wins, and I think that's why he made the big bucks.
Yep.
He always put on the show, and I think maybe that's even part of the problem. He's more interested in putting on the show than getting the W. I don't know. It's something very minute that I can't put my finger on, but physically, he's up there with the best of them.
Yeah. And I think that, to me, the narrative here, and maybe I'm just trying to find something to feel good about after another Dustin Poirier loss as a Dustin Poirier fan, is like you said, Ray. He said, I don't need to do this unless it's a title fight, unless it's like, that's the best story coming out of this. I mean, how many guys have this long of a career and a fruitful career and can just walk away and go, you know what, I'm happy with it, and I feel good about that. Going back to Khabib, you and I debated immediately once Khabib said he was done. Is he really going to be done? I'm happy to say he's still done. For me, if Dustin Poirier really decides to hang him up and he's content with that, that's a great story. It's a beautiful story.
That's a really good story. Again, with a really nice guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think, again, that's the thing. He's been consistent throughout with his fighting, with his personality, with the way he treats people. Man, like my gym, everybody loves that guy. I found out this weekend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Everybody was pulling for Dustin. So
Yeah.
I think he warrants that. He deserves it. And, unfortunately, again, he didn't get the gold ring, but he's always in there, and he definitely is a Hall of Famer. You could
Yeah.
pick a million reasons why he's in the Hall of Fame.
Right, 100%, and he could win like the humanitarian award
Without
every
a doubt.
year as well. So
Yeah, in a sport where you could go haywire with social media, and also
oh yeah,
he's held to some dignity and
yeah.
humility and all
I
the
mean,
good qualities you want to see in people.
he's gotten through 3 fights with Conor McGregor and never really snapped in any of them. You know what I mean? Mentally, never really broken any of them.
Yeah, you can't
And
break them. No, that's
yeah,
a great point. You can't break them, and if anybody could break you, it's McGregor,
absolutely,
and he could do
absolutely.
it.
All right, let's talk about the champion and still Islam Makhachev gets the win, submission. Leading up to this fight, it didn't surprise me that he was a 6-1 favorite. I mean, he is that dominant. He is that damn good. Historically, I think 155 pounds has been the toughest division in mixed martial arts, and we have a champion who has met every challenge in kind, short of the Volkanovski fight, where you found some outliers saying that Volk did enough to maybe earn the decision. Makhachev has been perfect and flawless. Had a good fight in front of him. He comes out the other side getting a stoppage. The comparisons are obviously going to be there because of who his mentor is in Khabib Nurmagomedov. But I do feel that Islam is on the right road, Ray, to surpass the abilities, at least on paper, of what Khabib did in his career. I'm not going to say that he's going to be the greatest of all time. That's a lot of factors go in there, but there are a lot of things to get excited about if you're a Khabib fan and looking at Islam to be the next version, because all things are trending that he's going to be, just as formidable as Khabib was inside the octagon.
Yeah, look, no matter what, these guys, they find a way to win, and I think it goes. like again, everybody's physically gifted. I'm always looking at the mental side of things. I just think their belief system, whether it's the religion or the way they run together, the
Yeah.
camaraderie, the cohesiveness of the team, the relationship, what could be something pushes them that extra 2%. And I think that's what won him the fight Saturday night. I mean, definitely, he looked like he was struggling to me at times. He would go to the tie clinch, not really do anything with it. I don't even know why he was going there unless he was tired. I don't know.
Right.
But they find a way to win, and I think it's their. You don't see these guys jerking around on social media. I could be wrong because I don't follow anybody, but
You
they
don't.
seem
Yeah,
they
I'll tell you. What you're seeing, Ray, is what you're getting from
Yeah,
him.
that's what I'm saying. And that to me is the difference. And I love it because, I see guys, they want to be noted more for their Instagram shit than their fighting. And these
Yeah.
guys aren't like that, man. They go in, they take care of business, and you got to give it up to him. He's a great champion. The Khabib, him, they speak well. They're brutally honest. Uh, I don't know. They just, but I think it's that camaraderie that they built and the way they train that just
Yeah.
gets them that extra 2 or 3% that some guys are just missing out on for whatever reason. Because that fight was competitive, first round.
Absolutely.
That's what, but you know what I mean. Like, and
The
this is good.
stoppage, unfortunately, Ray, makes people almost have a different
Yeah, right,
view
without a
of
doubt.
what the fight was.
Yeah, 100%. I'm telling you, going into that fifth round, that fight was way closer than people think, and it looked like he was struggling a little bit. And that's where, again, whatever it is, I'm not putting my finger on it today, but whatever it is, he had it and Dustin didn't have it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It was more of a mental thing than a physical thing.
Can I say too the fact that they both Khabib, when he was fighting in Islam too, they don't seem to buy into their own hype. They don't like
Right.
Islam didn't walk into that octagon looking like a 6.5 to 1 favorite and resting on his laurels. Like he was competitive. He had to dig deep down inside.
Right. He had to,
It
for sure.
Right. And that's the other thing too, is like those guys, maybe just the way to sum it up, Ray, is they're just built different because they put in this work ethic that anybody else, I would say 9 out of 10 people in that spotlight for as long as they've been, they're going to take a couple extra off days. They're going to go to Cancun and take
Yeah.
some photos for the
Right.
gram.
You're not
You're
really.
not getting it with these
Yeah.
guys.
That's what you got to love about him, though. But you bring up another point with the 6-1 favorite. It definitely didn't merit that during the fight. So
No.
so that's a plus for Dustin too. It didn't look like a 6-1 favorite type of fight. So, but yeah, you're right, man. It's their attitude. They're not buying into their own hype. They just nose to the grindstone. They don't stop, man, and it's good. They said that about Hagler too, right? 14 title defenses. He never wavered on his training.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of guys. They get injured. They don't do this. They don't do that. Next thing you know, everything's falling apart.
It's easy for one little thing to sort of just throw everything off. Like
Yeah,
athletes, they're machine, Ray, and if you got one
yeah,
cog in that wheel that's going to be messed
yeah.
up, everything seems to fall apart.
Somebody was asking me. I won't mention any names, but why isn't the guy shooting anymore? I got a guy's having trouble even bending his knees at this point. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, it's
right.
not.
And,
You
and
know.
as you get older, if you're a blast double type of wrestler in mixed martial arts, as you get older, you're going to get further and further away from
Without a
your game.
doubt.
Also, I mean, you want to talk about the leg. I think leg health is the most important thing in
Yeah.
mixed martial arts. We've seen that with the low calf kicks, but another guy who I guess came back, he's not retired anymore, but Jose Aldo, people were criticizing Aldo about those leg kicks. And it's like, dude, you can't just throw leg kicks and throw caution to the wind
Yeah.
time and time again as the later you get in your career. I mean, we've seen it. Like you break a
TJ,
leg, it's over.
TJ, trust me, you get your, shin on shin, you get your leg checked. It's not good for anybody. It
No.
sucks for both people.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks the guy kicking is getting away scot free. It doesn't happen like that, man.
No.
But Jose
No.
Aldo's a great example, man. He's looking great, man. He looks
Yeah.
great. He looks really
Yeah.
good.
Absolutely. And it's interesting to see like What was it, because of the time off that he had? Is that why he's at where he's at? Because I think a lot of it too is mental. It's just the motivation, the willingness and
Yeah,
desire that you
without a
have to
doubt.
want to do this.
You
You know what
need
I
that
mean?
burning
So
desire to compete. That's it. And he's found a rhythm that he's very comfortable with.
yeah,
You know what I mean? That's the other thing. He's
yeah,
fighting within himself. That's not, you go back and look at the WEC and some of the early UFC. That's not the guy you're looking at.
no,
But he's a different version, and he's a more mature version. He's learned to understand different things, and I think
yep.
it worked out great for him.
That's the thing, Ray. If you're able to take a fighter in their late 30s and give them, take that mindset and give it to them when they're
Yeah,
in their 20s,
without a
like
doubt.
that's the scariest thing ever.
Without a
Like,
doubt. And the other thing is he's in a weight class where 38 is really fucking old. Like the
yeah,
heavyweights get away with that. The lighter guys,
right. Yeah,
you see some of these guys, they just don't look good. You know what I mean? But the
yeah.
older guys, power's the last thing to go. So Dan Henderson could probably knock you out right today. Still,
Dude,
if you,
Dan Henderson's still a favorite against some guys in fights if they made him today.
I,
I
I,
swear to God.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. Let's talk about our co-main event. Interesting scorecards here in this one.
Yeah,
Sean Strickland, Paulo Costa. They go the distance, a 5-round fight, which I thought was interesting that Costa even agreed to. I mean, he's a guy that fades down the stretch, but he wanted to go 5 rounds. They ultimately go 5 rounds. Your thoughts on what we saw in our middleweight co-main?
Yeah, well, first off, the 5 rounds definitely brought more money, so I'm assuming that's why he wanted to do it because the
Sure.
5 rounds definitely favors Strickland because he's just steady Eddie. Look, the one constant in that fight is Sean Strickland. He does what he always does. The
Yeah.
the unconstant was Costa. That's why he didn't go forward because he kept getting into. He couldn't go forward, else he
No.
would go forward. You know what I mean? So Strickland did what he always does. Costa didn't do what people thought he would do, was to start swinging and going forward. But I think there was a reason for that, and the reason is front kicks to your belly, a jab in your face, a guy walking forward, he's smothering you. And Strickland is used to that type of pace and fight, and he could do that all day long. If you can't get Strickland out of that rhythm, you're not going to win the fight.
Help me out here, Ray. How does Paulo Costa end up winning rounds on a scorecard in which rounds he was dropped in? I don't understand that.
I can't. I don't know. I don't know. There is a theory the guy could have very well got the corners mixed up.
I
You
mean,
know,
that would
that
explain something to me.
that's a
That would explain something
possibility.
to me.
Because I tell you,
You
that's
know, you know
But again,
I've
look.
heard of that happening a lot,
Okay,
actually.
let me
Just more
try
the
to
reason why.
defend something a little bit.
Okay.
And
All
I
right,
think
let's go.
even Strickland alluded to it. Nixick, I heard, apologized to. I think he came over to the Yannick booth and said, "I'm sorry for the performance." So Nixick wanted him to do more. So the
Right.
rounds could be looked at as close. I mean, when your corner's telling you got to do more, why would
Sure.
you even say that? You're winning the fight easy. So I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, and I think Sean's style for some reason lends itself to maybe this type of problem. I don't know, and I'm not
Yeah.
defending anybody, but look, let's take the first couple of rounds. It could have been
Okay.
bullshit, but Costa's corner thought he was up 2-1. They said it on the
Right.
broadcast. Now, as a corner
Right. Which,
guy, whatever. But
sure.
break it down. Costa's jabbing the body, Strickland's kicking the body. Costa's kicking his leg, the other guy's jabbing him, but nobody's really marked up. It
Right.
wasn't an exciting fight. I know guys that were
Yeah.
at that fight, they said they fell asleep. They wanted to leave. If it wasn't for a big main event, that it was 5 rounds, there was a half hour of, you know, one guy marching forward, the other guy pot shot in the body. Nobody's really getting hit in that fight. Their body, the legs, yes. Um, I don't know what I'm even saying. I don't know where I'm going with it, but I'm saying if Costa's corner thought he was up 2-1, which is a little
Right.
crazy, I could see the guy getting the scorecards wrong. I'm trying to
Let me
stretch a little bit.
I understand, and I appreciate you doing so. I think you're kind of playing devil's advocate here,
Yeah.
but let me ask you this, Ray. Like, when you're in the corner, when you're articulating the narrative of what's unfolding to your athlete, are you just 100% honest? Do you ever downplay their success? Do you ever overplay their success? Because there seems to be this narrative on the outside looking in from the commentators that we go, well, does he really feel that? Or is he trying to play to that fighter's personality? Like, what is your mindset when you're trying to deliver the message to your fighter?
Well, look, I'm more of a motivational guy. Technically, like with you got to know who you're dealing with, what they can do, what they can't do. I believe I'm
Right.
honest. Uh, Sometimes I might exaggerate a little bit to motivate them, but I still think I believe I'm honest, and I'll always play it safe. I'll never tell you you're winning if I think it's even close. You know what I
Right.
mean? That's why if I'm I remember when Marab fought Frankie Saenz. I just the guy set the takedown record in the fight, and
Yeah.
that was one time Matt goes, "No, that's the only time he ever got anything wrong." Like we thought Marab won that fight, and he didn't. But most of the times we're pretty dead on with what's going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I think I'm always honest. If I have an opportunity, I think that could sway it some way and get you going again. I'm going to take it, but um, yeah, I've been involved in a couple of split decisions. I want to kill myself. I'm like, why? I just it just was it couldn't have been almost like what Strickland had to feel like. He definitely won the fight for sure.
Sure. Sure.
That the scorecards could have been a little off. They could have had it
Right.
48-47, but he wins. But to have it that the other
Yeah.
guy won, going backwards like that is kind of crazy.
Yeah, because that's the thing too. There are split decisions where it comes down to a round, right? But then
Yeah,
there are
yeah,
also split decisions where you have, dissenting shutouts, whether it be 50-45 or 30-27. You have opposite scorecards, and it's just like, I don't want to say that that's not possible. I do think that there are fights that are so even that maybe Judge 1 has it 30-27 while Judge 2 has it 30-27 the opposite way. But when you say someone won by split decision, that tells you none of the story, unless you
right.
get into the minutia of the scorecards. But I don't know. I mean, how do we fix scoring, Ray? It's been a
Nah,
question that has been asked for, since basically judges have decided fights.
yeah, you're not gonna. I don't think you're gonna fix it. I think there's a human element in there, and that you can't. I tell you one thing, maybe you keep rotating the judges and keep a tally
Okay.
on who's really getting the fight. I mean, I think if you had a statistical, you know, analysis of who's judging, they had this fight right. That one was wrong. You could get three guys in there with a real low percentage of fucking something up. I do think you could do a better job
Right.
at that. I don't know how the commission goes about assigning stuff, but
Everyone's different. I know Andy Foster, who runs things out here in California. He's been, very judicious about trying to inform his judges as much as possible. Like if there's a good fight where, it's an example of maybe one judge saw something wrong, he'll rally his judges up and actually watch the fight on a Zoom call and say,
yeah,
see, this is what I want you guys to look at and be more informed about so we
right.
don't, replicate these sorts of things.
I
I
think
like that, but
yeah.
here's the problem, though, Ray. You get this huge stonewall from a lot of these commissions that just don't want to tell you anything or what their thought process is on assigning who to what.
Well, I told you. I think I said it way back. It's just a liability. They can't have these guys talking to anybody,
Yeah.
and they're afraid of the legal ramifications. I think so. They just keep everything silent, and it's kind of like a
But at
kangaroo
least on the
court.
inside, Ray, I mean, again, I'm not saying that,
I think
you
we
and I are
want
privy to
transparency, and we're
everything.
not going to get it.
Right. Even on the inside, I don't necessarily think these guys should be talking to media. Okay. I don't think they should need to justify themselves to media. But even in Major League Baseball, when there's a mistake, the umpire will at least release a statement, or the league office will
Yes.
release a statement. We need something like that,
Yeah. Yeah. Listen,
you know.
I'm going to say, yeah. It's just I feel like we just beat this dead bush every damn time
I
we
hear you,
talk.
Ray, but it's the same old question. We can't seem to find an answer. And like, I don't know. I would just like to see some progression forward to something better. Maybe it's
Yeah.
open scoring. I don't know.
I think you drop the guy down to the minor leagues for a month or two, and you talk to him, and you have him look at tapes, and what the hell did you see? I think
Right.
look, the commission has got to stay on top of these guys. I don't know if they do or not, but they got to get involved and really. I do think you could narrow it down to where you're not going to have many flubs.
Yeah,
You
you
know,
know, all I want out of it, Ray, is I want the idea that the judge that made the decision, that he at least feels bad. Because we don't
right,
even
right,
get that.
right.
There's no
Yo,
accountability. We don't even get to, I mean,
you know what?
how many
You know what's funny, TJ? Remember when Dean what's who's the ref? Dean is it
uh
Herb
not
Dean,
Herb Dean.
right? Yeah,
Herb Dean,
Herb Dean.
okay.
Yeah, remember when Herb Dean stopped the Lawler fight and he apologized to the guy? He go, "I'm
Yeah.
really sorry."
Yeah.
That you can
He owned it.
never. That's beautiful. Yeah, listen, everybody's going to make a mistake,
Right.
and I think he really felt bad for it. It was very heartfelt. And Robbie said, "Hey, you know, shit happens. Then you know what I mean,
Right.
like." And that's the way it should be. You're not going to get that from the judges, though.
No, and you know, did you hear how beloved Herb was inside the Prudential Center on Saturday night? Every time they introduced him as the referee, there was a rousing ovation
Yeah, yeah,
from
he's a
the
good
crowd
ref,
out there.
man.
And I think that might have something to do with it, Ray.
Yeah.
He doesn't run from those mistakes. Not everybody is going to be perfect. It's
No, you
impossible
can't. It can't be.
to be perfect,
You
right?
know,
Especially in that job. But if you
and
just
especially
own it,
Herb's thing, he's there to make sure you're safe. If he made a mistake,
yeah,
it's still a good mistake because he tried to
right.
protect you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when I mean, you bring up a great point, you know, and maybe the referees, maybe that's their sort of out is, hey, I was just trying to protect
Oh,
you.
without a doubt. Yeah.
These judges, they don't really have that. They're
No,
just
they
like,
don't
I was
have
just
that. They,
trying to make sure you didn't take all that money home in that win
yeah.
bonus. Sorry, bud.
I got to tell you, man, they have to. Yeah, it is. We could talk a lot on this. I just feel like I'm always getting beat up for like I'm bitching about the judging, so I don't even know. But
No,
I think
I hear you.
I wouldn't mind taking a shot at that and trying to educate people and staying on top of them and doing something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
you
don't
know,
think it's rocket science.
there's that old saying, it takes a village to like raise a kid.
Yeah.
It takes a village to make the sport work in fire on all cylinders. And
And
I just think
TJ,
that
yeah, TJ, you've been in environments with guys. This guy won. No, that guy won. No, he did this.
yeah,
Dude, it happens even with close friends and in the gym. You
yeah,
can't get the whole gym to agree on something.
no,
So how do you think you're
no.
going to do it with the judging?
That's why I think open scoring is something that needs to be done.
Okay, so wait, well, let me ask you something. How in your mind? It's a great question. How in your mind would open judging have helped? Uh, Here's my point. Let's take the first fight of the night, where
All
the
right.
guy was clearly winning. How would
Yeah.
open judging made any sense? That guy would have been like, "Are you fucking kidding me? I'm winning the round. You gave it." I think it's gonna throw his game off. No, I
The
mean,
judges,
if I think I
but
won easy and I look up and the other guy got the round, what
yeah,
do I do? I got to try harder next round.
but
Like, I'm,
that's gonna be visible in that arena. You're gonna find out that you're screwing up as the judge, and the judge is gonna be like, I dropped that one. Maybe the judge doesn't
but it's
necessarily give a
already
makeup
open now.
round,
Now you got to hope
but
you didn't affect the fighter looking at that
hey,
or the
hey,
corner.
hey, you know what? At least we're pointing it out to someone where maybe some alternative outcome for the better happens. I'm
And do
not
you
saying it's
think
the
they
right
could?
answer, Ray, but I'm
Yeah,
just saying maybe we at least try it.
well, if that's the case, then we should try it because we could try anything at this point.
Well, I mean, like the UFC has a great sort of thing in house here with
Right?
this Dana White Contender Series.
Yeah,
Have Nevada do open scoring on the Contender Series.
yeah, yeah. Just
Try it
try it
out
out.
there.
Yeah. I'm for anything that gets it right. I just see it sometimes. I feel like it could be a disaster. That's the problem.
Yeah, I'll tell you from a broadcast standpoint, I don't necessarily like open judging.
Yeah, because it's going to
Um,
affect the way you start calling the fight. I think.
100%. Also,
Because look
too,
now, you see a score like it's egregious, and you're going to take away from the fight and start talking about that.
right, of course, because that becomes the narrative,
That
right?
becomes the narrative. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know if that's good
Because
or bad. Like I'm just
I don't
like
know,
again, I'm being a
but I
devil's
mean,
advocate.
I think there's an argument to be made that that should be the narrative, though.
Yeah,
Maybe
well
that's
then
the narrative. You know what I mean?
I'm open to anything.
You know what? And it's that mindset, Ray, that makes you one of the best people to get coaching from, one of the best people to do a post-fight show with, because you got to have an open mindset, a
Right?
growth
Yeah, you
mentality,
have
they
to.
say.
Yeah, that's why I say like even in the gym, you can't get three guys to agree on anything. So
No,
Uh,
no.
you gotta,
Especially with social media, Ray.
yeah. Everybody's influenced. There could be a lot of confirmation bias.
Yeah. Uh, he's an anti-influencer, but he's one of the biggest influencers, I think, on social media these days, and that is Sean Strickland. Victorious now after dropping his title to Dricus du Plessis earlier this year. What's next for Sean?
He says he's waiting for a title. I think he says, he took this fight. He didn't want to take it. He's a company man. He laid his
Does he
case
deserve
out.
that? Does he
What was
deserve
that?
that? Does he deserve the right to do that, you think, at this point?
Yeah, I think he does deserve the right to do that. Because the Dricus fight, that's he should have gotten an immediate rematch on that. Look, it's it's pretty obviously they don't want the guy representing the company. You hear what David said? As long as there's another person on this planet, he's going to have an argument with. But they don't.
Hey, some people love him for that reason, though, too, right?
I personally do.
Yeah.
I think the guy. Listen, he's got his delivery might be a little off, but I like the guy a lot. I think he's.
Hey, I roll my eyes at a lot of what Sean Strickland says, but I make sure to listen to every word he ever says.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, he's come a long way. So all good stuff.
Yeah. On the way out here, your thoughts on Herb Dean's decision to stop the Kevin Holland Mikhail Olashechuk fight? Fully locked on armbar. It looked like the arm snapped, hyperextended.
Right. Again,
Herb steps in.
How do you go wrong? I mean, the guy's arm is mangled.
Yeah.
He's trying to save the guy from having his, humerus or radius or one of those bones broken. I mean, I don't know. So,
yeah. I mean, he's saving him from.
It was starting to, when you start cringing towards the end, you don't want to look because, you're thinking of Joe Theismann or what happened with Chris, or I get the hell out of there. So that was hitting that point. So how do you disagree? That guy's arm was mangled. We know he's tough.
Right. Everybody's tough.
Day.
They're in the UFC. They're all tough.
Yeah. Save it for another day. You got caught in a weird position. Learn from it and thank the guy for saving you.
Oh, 100%. I called a fight here in Sacramento on Faber's event about a month ago, and it was an amateur fight, and Herb D was in the same situation, and he stopped the fight because it was an amateur fight. It doesn't matter to me if it's an amateur fight or if it's a pro fight, right? When your arm is completely hyperextended and the only other thing that's going to happen other than the offensive fighter just letting it go because they don't want to break your arm is that you're going to get your arm broken so badly you're going to need surgery. Stop the fight.
Yeah, I used to ref. We used to do charity boxing. We used to raise money for breast cancer foundation, and it was like the local fire department. They'd fight each other, and I'd be the ref. But I would tell everybody, "Listen, man, this is for charity, and anybody gets in trouble, I'm telling you right now, I'm stopping the fight. I'm telling you, like I told them up front what was going to happen.
Yeah,
and it worked. It used to work out. So." But I didn't want to see anybody get hurt, especially because it's a good cause. And I think Herb did the same thing. But why see a guy's arm get mangled?
I agree. All right. If I keep you any longer, you might fly to Southern California and try to mangle my arm. So
no, we're good. TJ, it was really good catching up with you, buddy.
Yeah, I miss you. We got to do this more often, man.
We got to get the buff too. I heard the buff's doing a movie today.
Oh, he is, yeah. He's mixing it up with big superstars down there in Atlanta.
Yeah, big stuff down there. It's cool. Anyway, all right, listen, man, keep in touch. You're the best. I'm out of here.
Awesome stuff, Ray. Thank you for doing this, even though it's a day late and $1 short. If you're not $1 short and you'd like to make things happen, head over to DraftKings Sportsbook. It is the official sports betting partner of the UFC. Right now, new customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1.5K in a bonus bet if your first bet misses. Download the app, use the code Fight Pass, and claim your no-sweat bet up to $1.5K right now. All right, that does it for us. It's extra rounds from UFC Fight Pass.